Chris Fields is a candidate for College Station School Board Place 3, joins us today. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, Scott, happy to be here.
Give us a little background so people get to know you.
Grew up here in College Station, so moved here when I was about 5 years old. My dad got a job at A&M as a computer analyst and did K through 12 here, graduated from A&M Consolidated High School, and it was the only high school in College Station. Met my wife there. We've been married now over 20 years, have 4 kids in the district, 2nd grader, 5th grader, 8th grader, and 10th grader. And I've spent the last few years doing a number of different projects. A lot of people probably are familiar with the work we've done with Mercy Project, doing anti-child trafficking work in Ghana, Africa. Also started the BCS Marathon here in town as a fundraiser for Mercy Project. I've written a few books. I teach a class at A&M, and I do some business consulting.
So, one of the things that you said, I was at a forum you were at on Sunday, and you said you need to ask hard questions. Give me an example or two of what a hard question is that needs to be asked.
Well, I think any board of trustees or board of directors is interesting because if you're not careful, you end up falling into a trap where you're just sort of signing the documents that are presented to you instead of digging into the genesis of the documents in the first place. So I think in our district right now, obviously a great district, great schools, great teachers, great students, but we do have questions that need to be asked. And I think some of those are hard, like why is our teacher pay not competitive? Why do our paraprofessionals make less than a bagger at HEB? What are we doing to make sure our historically underperforming students are not staying underperforming? Those aren't fun conversations and they don't have easy answers. And so we tend to avoid those questions, but I think those are the very kind of conversations that actually drive us forward.
Some of those questions have been asked. There's no doubt you're not the first to bring them up, but solutions to your liking, at least, apparently haven't happened.
Yeah, I would say they've been asked, but I'm not certain they've been answered. And if they have been answered, I'm not sure the community knows those answers. I think a large part of the board is actually helping communicate with the community that things are happening, things are changing, processes are being followed, obstacles are being overcome. There's a gap sometimes in communication. We know a lot of work is happening, but does the community get to see what that work is? No, because they're not there every day. So who's going to build that bridge between the community paying taxes, significant taxes to make sure our schools are great, and the work that actually goes on? I think that's a huge role of the board, is being those ambassadors and making sure the community understands what's really happening.
Let's talk about the schools in this community. There are 19 campuses. But it's been very evident that there is a split at the high school level. This is a divided community. Address that.
I think there was a split more when the high schools when there was a new high school. I have a daughter in 10th grade at CSHS. I graduated from Consol. I had to throw on my Consol letter jacket when she came home with her CSHS letter jacket a few months ago. I don't really feel this energy from the kids. Of course, they want to win in sports, but they're at each other's things. My daughter wants to go watch her A&M Consolidated friends in theater. They come and watch her shows in theater. It feels more to me like this is an adult problem than a kid problem, which we could probably say about a lot of problems in the world. Now, it doesn't mean it's a non-issue. I certainly think it needs to continue we need to be mindful that we have 2 great high schools here, but a lot of that energy, I think, is historical energy. That was when the schools opened and the way the zoning happened and certain people were frustrated. That was a long time ago. And the kids that are in high school today were in elementary school when that happened. This is the only world they've known. There's been 2 high schools. And if anyone's making them feel like they should be frustrated, it's the parents who raised them to feel like they should be frustrated. So as long as we can have adult conversations and make sure both schools continue to get the resources they need to be great, I don't think the kids are worried about it.
If elected, how should a school board deliver instructions, if you will, to their superintendent?
Yeah, the superintendent's job is to do the day-to-day, and the school board's job is to hire the superintendent, hold the superintendent accountable to the vision of the district that's been agreed upon, and to approve the budget. I mean, those are the big top line items for the school board. No, I think that when it comes to talking to the superintendent, working with the superintendent, it really should be a team. And part of that team is holding them accountable to the vision, making sure that you're aligned on what matters the most, asking those questions, making sure you're satisfied with the answers, not just showing up at meetings and going down a list of things, actually talking to teachers, talking to administrators, being in the schools, hearing from the community, and then being representatives of that community. When you walk into a school board meeting, you are a team of 8, but you're carrying the votes of every single person who entrusted you really with their children's education and with the education of the other 14,000 kids in the district. So I think direct communication, honest communication. I know I'm having to run for a quote office, which makes this ironic, but don't play the political games. It's a nonpartisan role, which I love. And it is one of the places in our community, in a world, in a country where we're very divided on red and blue lines. It's one of the places where there are no red and blue lines. You should be there for the right reasons. So make it as non-political as possible. We're here for the kids. We're here for the teachers. We're here for the community.
If I'm quoting you correctly, you say teachers need to be valued, heard, seen, appreciated. How should teachers be able to voice concerns without fear or concern of retribution if they see something that they don't think is right?
Yeah, I mean, the same way I hope you could voice that, or I could voice it in my place of work, or that somebody could come to me if they're one of my employees. I mean, when there's something that happens that makes us uncomfortable, we need to be able to speak up. Healthy leadership wants that feedback loop. We don't run from it. We're not defensive about it. We don't explain it away. When you have 2,000 employees, they are the eyes and the ears in places that central office, the administration, the school board's never going to go. When they come back and say, hey, this feels like a challenge. This is hard. This is difficult. I'm not sure I understand the reasoning behind this. We have to be very careful that we're not dismissive of that we don't get our feelings hurt, that we don't say, well, this was the best idea when we had it in the boardroom. How dare you question it? There's a level of humility that needs to be had, a level of even just confidence in the vision that one person giving you negative feedback doesn't tear down all the good that you've done. There is no ecosystem of growth without people who are willing to say when something is broken. And so we should actually be thanking people when they bring us challenges and problems, because we can correct them before they turn into 5-alarm fires. Now, some people gripe and some people complain and they're not actually looking for a solution, but I think it's easy to tell which one of those is which when you're consistently opening yourself up to that conversation. And a lot of times, all people want is to be heard. Even if you can't fix their problem, they want to know that you cared enough to listen to them, to not be dismissive, and then to say, that does really matter. I'm not sure we can fix that, but I'm definitely glad you told me, and it's something I'm better for being aware of.
School finance is daunting for anybody who's been in the business. You, if elected, are going to be the new kid on the block. How do you best prepare yourself to understand school finance?
Yeah, I definitely don't have the full knowledge of it now. That's the facts. I mean, I've spent dozens of hours trying to understand it. I think it's absurd that people who have run businesses can't understand school finance. I don't think that's an accident. I think the more confusing something is, the less people question it. The truth is that it is confusing. It is antiquated. Some of the systems we use are literally a century old. We need to keep working with our legislators to make sure that we have full understanding. In the meantime, it is leaning on the board members who've already been in the rooms where it happened. Make sure I'm building up that knowledge. I'm taking their transfer of trust. I'm not having to learn everything the hard way. Doing my homework, being diligent, asking hard questions, not feeling shy or nervous or hesitant because I don't have all the answers, but just really jumping in 2 feet, cannonballing right into that huge ocean of questions, and being okay with the fact that I'm not going to know everything. But the only way to learn is by pushing forward. And ideally, once I have a deeper understanding, I do think we owe it to the community to be able to communicate school finance in more simple ways than it's historically been communicated.
People now can watch meetings remotely. and they may not watch them to their entirety. What is the best way to respond to groups who are now seeing these school board meetings in a different way?
I mean, I think it's awesome that our community cares. There's more interest right now and engagement around the school board. Maybe it's because it's the only race in town in College Station, but that's fine. Whatever the reason, I've heard there's been more forums this year than ever before. I think it's awesome that people are engaged. I think it keeps us accountable. We should want a community that is paying attention because they're going to ask good questions and they're going to make us really consider our answers instead of just falling asleep at the wheel. I do think it's important that we all, myself included, try to give the benefit of the doubt. We don't believe anyone is purposely being nefarious. Even if the way we go about the solutions is different, we try to believe that each person really does want what's best. This is an unpaid volunteer position that brings you a lot of frustrated people. I don't know why anybody would do this if they had bad motives. Not a lot to gain from it. And so trying to give that benefit of the doubt, trying to get the full context, bring your questions, bring your concerns, come to school board meetings, email your school board members, great. But when you do that, try to bring a knowledge or a trust that you're seeking understanding, not attacking. I heard this one thing. My cousin said, my brother told me, come with like, hey, this sounded interesting to me. What do you know about it? And hopefully you have a school board that's mature enough to say, well, let me tell you how I see it, or let me tell you how we understand it, or here's our obligation as a school board. Then you can have those really great conversations that I think actually make both parties better.
The immediate former superintendent is now running for a school board position. I think that's an unusual thing. Tell me, characterize, if you would, your personal connection or discussion with Dr. Harkrider and Dr. Martindale.
Yeah, so I've met with Dr. Harkrider several times since he came into his position, mostly just to get to know him a little better. And then once I understood I was going to be running for the board, I wanted to visit with him again just to say, hey, this is something I'm thinking about. Let's talk about the district. I want you to know me. I want to know you a little better. I worked with Mr. Martindale in 2022 as a community member when they were doing the TRE bond to raise teacher salaries that had to go to a bond. And the district couldn't legally say a lot about that for or against it. They just had to state that it was happening. But I was a community member who could say whatever he wanted. And so I beat the heck out of that drum for 2 months. I probably made 30, 40, 50 posts on social media. Hey, we got to get teachers better compensated. This matters. We're losing good teachers. So I met with Mr. Martindale multiple times during that process just to make sure that I understood things that were factual and that what I was saying to the community was actually true. So that's how I first got to know him. We didn't really talk after he retired. He was fishing or doing whatever he was doing, and I was doing my stuff. And then when he decided to run for school board again, we reconnected because we had that prior relationship. And just like I visited with other candidates in the election, I've been interested to hear what his passion and motivation is. His wife was actually my daughter's teacher last year in Spanish, so we kind of knew her from that. And through these forums and discussion, you get to know other candidates and you get to hear what they care about. And it's been clear to me that although it is unusual that he's come back, and from what I've heard, almost unprecedented, he does deeply care about students and teachers. He was a teacher. He was a coach. He was an elementary school principal. So he brings a really interesting perspective that I think if he ends up winning will be fascinating to have on the board because he understands how things work really in a way that no board member could even understand. And that's an interesting dynamic. I can see how it would be a challenging dynamic in some ways, but I also think that with humility and maturity on all sides, that really could be a great asset. And each person on the board brings a totally different set of strengths. And he certainly has a different strength than me.
Anything we haven't covered today?
No, this is great. I'm excited about the opportunity to serve our community. There has been some rumblings that my candidate has dropped out or from attempting to run anymore. That's been a little confusing to the public, I think, because he's still on the ballot. I haven't really gotten clarity from the district what would happen if I lost. So I'm telling people they need to assume I do still have a candidate. and they need to get out and vote. So if you thought I would be a good school board member or think that, then you should go vote and not let any rumblings about whatever happened to my opponents to change that voting is still a priority.
Chris Fields, he's a candidate for College Station School Board Place 3. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.